everyone out there listening, and welcome back to yet another episode of your Slightly Mighty podcast, the local podcast dedicated to the local musicians, concert promoters, and venue owners who make up our Charleston music community. This will be our 11th Slightly Mighty episode, and if you like the show and appreciate what we're doing here, please take a moment to like, comment, subscribe, and above all, share the show on whatever social media platforms you inhabit. As our advertising budget is clearly nearly zero, your help in this endeavor is appreciated. Special thanks to former guests and future co-hosts Stratton Moore and Hans Wenzel for always taking a second to share new episodes as they are released. I've really noticed how much it helps spread the word around, so thanks. I'm currently curating ideas for a possible season 2 and would very much like to invite our listeners to submit any thoughts and criticisms you may have about the show's format, future guests and topics, and even potential guest hosting ideas to me directly at hopturn@gmail.com. You can also reach me through the triple-headed demon dog of Threads, Instagram, and Facebook. As of this episode, we're now officially into the second half of the season, and if you've made it this far, then I'd like to thank you for your patience as I continue to learn how to do whatever it is that I'm doing here. Special thanks goes out to Alex Harris and his wonderful crew here at the Poorhouse for hosting the first part of this two-part show kind of last minute. The Poorhouse has long been Charleston's go-to spot for all things live music. If you've been listening to this podcast, then you've no doubt heard the Poorhouse mentioned again and again, as this place has become a crucial cornerstone of what's happening here in Charleston. The second part of the show with David George Sink will once again be recorded at Maybank Public House, so go grab a beer and a burger and say hello to Drew Madden for me. Today's episode will be slightly unique in that it will feature two separate one-on-one interviews with two of Charleston's most talented and hardworking guitarists, Dave Grimm and David George Sink. I've chosen this particular format because each of these guys are known to be individual powerhouse musicians whom you call in when you need true professionalism, personal style, and a knockout memorable performance. And as a bonus, they are also both Davids, and that should give anyone listening a real look into how my mind actually works, if nothing else does. Joining us first is Mr. Dave Grimm. Dave, how's it going today, buddy?
Going great. Thanks for having me.
All right. Excellent, man. Dave, I'm going to let everyone listening know I started to record this already, and then I forgot to do some things on my end, and apparently I was not. So we have to start this interview all over again.
It's all good.
All right. So Dave told us some great stuff, and I want to make sure that I go back and hit it. So how were you first introduced to music, Dave?
So I started, my first instrument was the cello in 5th grade. And then in 6th grade, I moved to band because I wanted to play the saxophone, but I didn't end up playing the saxophone, ended up on the trombone. And I picked up the guitar in between 9th and 10th grade, was self-taught until I went to college. And then I had my first guitar lesson.
Okay, who taught you at college?
Tyler Ross.
Tyler Ross.
Yeah.
He still plays around here, doesn't he?
He sure does. He still teaches at the college, plays with the Charleston Jazz Orchestra.
Okay. What was the College of Charleston music program like back then?
It was intimidating at first for a person who was self-taught and didn't know how to read music, didn't know much about chords or the jazz idiom. Right. It was difficult, but it was boot camp. You know, it really made me go in there every Monday when we had commo class and really study and prepare for what was to come. And it was definitely intimidating being in front of a jazz master like Quentin Baxter and being this amateur.
Okay, so you were an amateur then, and at what point did you decide to become a professional?
I mean, I guess in 2008 I was technically playing for a living, but I wouldn't consider myself a professional. But probably after absorbing a lot of the work ethic that you need to play jazz music, I think that was when I really started to become a professional. Okay,
so another thing we wanted to make sure I went back and talked about was you said that one of your earliest experiences as a band was in punk rock.
Yes.
Okay, could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, Blink-182 was like the big band at the time, and so a couple buddies and myself, we started a pop-punk trio called the Pneumatic Bombs, and my first concert that I ever attended was the first concert that I ever played, was a little punk show in Greenville, South Carolina. I don't even remember the name of the venue now.
Moshing?
Yeah, there was some moshing involved, yeah. But we got booed off the stage. I remember I took a spring out of the back of my guitar for some reason, and I didn't know that it would make it out of tune. So when I went to play, I was like, oh, that's not right. So I had to go grab another guitar, come back, finish the show, booed off, but it was still a good time.
Okay. So the guitar being out of tune was kind of more punk, though, in a way.
A little bit, yeah. I contributed.
Okay. So what are some of those influences that you had back then that kind of got you started and moving into today?
Yeah, when I started, I just loved classic rock, guitar players, Jimi Hendrix, Jimmy Page, and then, of course, the more shredder kind of guys, the G3 band, which was Steve Vai, right, Joe Satriani, and Eric Johnson. That was a big one. And then, Brian May.
Okay.
And then, of course, the pop punk stuff, too.
Okay, what are you listening to these days? Same thing, or moved on to new waters?
Right now, my current obsession is like Japanese jazz and Japanese fusion. Hiromi is a big one.
Yeah.
And, of course, Cassiopeia.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that.
If you ever listen to the music from Mario Brothers, Koji Kondo based a lot of his compositions on Cassiopeia songs.
Oh, okay.
So
it's older then.
Yeah, the Cassiopeia's a little. Hiromi's, that's brand new. She's contemporary, but I just like the playful nature of Japanese jazz, kind of video gamey. It's just right up my alley.
Okay, so now you're in town. You've been playing for a while, and you started playing with some guys down on Folly. You were talking about releasing a couple songs with them. What was the name of that band?
It was called Funk You Folly.
Funk You Folly.
And that was when I wrote that song just to play in that band. But I think I recorded it in Barnwell, South Carolina with Corey Stevens, Nick Brewer, Sean Bing, and Ed Lemon.
What a group. What year was that?
That was only like 3 years ago.
Okay, cool. Let's hear a little bit about it. Cook It Up.
Baby, come on over, try this barbecue. I cooked it up all day long, and I hope it looks good to you. Baby, what you doing tonight? I see you peeping through the hole in the fence. You can come over, sit on the couch, and we can listen to Prince. Don't forget about my sauce, baby. Get you some slaw too. A paper plate, baby, don't be late, cause you know what we trying to do. We just waiting on you. Get up. Baby, come on over. You got to try this barbecue. I cooked it up all day long, and I hope it looks good to you. Baby, what you doing tonight? I see you peeping through the hole in the fence. You can come over, sit on the couch. We can listen to Prince. Don't forget about my sauce, baby. And get you some slaw too. A paper plate, baby, don't be late, cause you know what we trying to do. We just waiting on you. Cook it up. Baby, come on over. Try this barbecue. I cooked it up all day long, and I hope it looks good to you. Baby, what you doing tonight? I see you peeping through the hole in the fence. You can come over, sit on the couch, and we can listen to Prince.
All right, so we're back. Thank you for that. Let's move on to speaking of cooking it up a little bit. What do you do to prepare for your gigs? How do you get started in this process? What's your prep like?
Well, I think one of my main sort of principles of it is listen more than you play. Get that music in your head. That way you have a point of reference in yourself. You don't have to go back and listen. You can, oh yeah, I know that so well. I know what that's supposed to sound like.
And how do you go about doing that?
Just listen, over and over and over again. Repetition.
Oh. So you're listening, and without a guitar in your hands, you're just
and then I'll go back. Well, initially, on my initial listen, I'll go through and get the keys to every tune, and then I'll do another listen and start to make little notes about, where the bridge might be or what's going on that's weird about this piece, and just dissect them and write a chart for them, put them back together, and then I'll have them in my head.
Okay. Do you transcribe like important parts out, or are you just?
I usually don't write anything out. I'll usually just memorize it. But
Okay.
if it's really tricky, I'll write it. Yeah, like some of the stuff I did with a band called Illazilla. I wrote those lines out.
You really were. For those of you who may not know, Dave stepped in and played a couple shows with us recently, and it was amazing. He came to practice and played the songs better than I did, and I've been doing them forever. It was insane. That's great. So backing up, though, to your process, though, for learning all these songs. I mean, you say that you're taking minimal notes and you're listening to it, you're memorizing it. I mean, how do you memorize all this music? I know that you play in all these different bands. I mean, are you running this stuff like all the time at home, or?
Yeah. Running a lot at home, practicing along. I've got a little headphone amp, which is so crucial to have, especially when you have a little kid. To be quiet in the house and still be able to play electric guitar. That has been a huge thing to have.
Right.
But yeah, to me, it's easy to see fretboard shapes and associate them with songs, so I can see a key and sort of imagine the fretboard shapes, and that helps me memorize it, just to have a visual to go along with it.
Okay. That's interesting. So, what advice would you give to a younger you starting out on guitar? You said that you kind of came to it a little bit late, but you did go through a lot of different instruments. I'm assuming you learned how to read music and a lot of that stuff back then.
Yeah, I learned that in college. I would say number one, stop drinking.
Stop drinking. Would you like to talk about that a little bit?
I mean, yeah, I being a Charleston musician and playing, starting playing in bars on Thursday through Saturday night, and when you're 22, 23, it's a lot of fun. And then when you get to your later 30s and you've been doing that for 10 years, it starts to wear on your body. And so, especially after I had a kid, it was definitely in my best interest to stop. And, I don't judge anybody who does. Do you?
Right.
It's all good. But for me, it was the right thing to stop.
Okay. And what health benefits have you had? I mean, obviously, I could tell that you've lost a lot of weight.
I've lost a lot of weight, yeah.
But what other things ever?
My memories, just waking up in the morning, not being hungover, is a blessing. And just having more energy throughout the day. My memory's better. I'm less testy to my partner. I'm just a better version of myself.
That's
for sure.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Anything else you would tell young Dave?
Don't be afraid to get out there and shine a little bit. I think I prefer. One of my professors once told me I had the personality of a bass player, which I'm kind of.
But you were a bass player too.
I was a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But I definitely have more of a. I like to stay a little downstage and kind of do my thing back there. I'm not one to step up and show off a little bit. But, sometimes that's part of the job.
Right. That's interesting. Another question I had for you. I don't usually ask all these like rapid fire questions, but I mean, I know that you also have a gig. This is for those of you also listening, Motown Throwdown every Sunday at the Poorhouse. Come check it out if you haven't yet. Dave is playing right after this interview, actually. So what's some recipes for some? See what I did there with your song?
Yes.
Good guitar tone.
Guitar tone.
Yeah.
Well, I'm of the opinion that it comes mostly from your hands.
Okay.
But once you find something that you're comfortable with, I think that really is the key to good tone. Just being comfortable so you can use your hands, without having to fight your gear too much.
Okay.
So, I play a digital Fender Twin that I absolutely love. It's just nice and clean, so that lets me kind of do what I want with it, hand-wise. But yeah, I think hands is where it's at. Listen, there's a book called Guitar Zen, and in that book, one of the first lessons is just playing one note and getting it to sound just right. I think Ray Brown talked about that too on the bass.
Oh, Ray Brown.
Yeah, just getting that one note to sound nice, make it sound musical, and then move on from there.
First of all, thank you for mentioning Ray Brown on this show.
Yeah.
Ray Brown is one of my heroes in a lot of different ways. The one finger bass player guy. I mean,
yeah.
My Lord, dude, what a fantastic tone that man can get.
Yes.
which kind of leads me to another question. What excites you musically? And that could be as a listener or a participant. However you want to look at that.
Yeah, I think when you're watching a band, as a listener, you can see that the band is really having fun, but still kind of on the edge of their seats and not anxious, but ready for whatever might come next. That's why I love jazz music, just because when you see a good jazz trio or a quartet or whatever it might be, those guys are having fun, but they're also on the edge of fear.
Right.
So it's
the edge of fear of what?
It's just exciting to be on the edge, pushing, not knowing where the band's going to go next, and being ready to
that uncertainty.
Yeah, being ready to accompany or to follow wherever it might go. Yeah, that uncertainty for sure.
So you like that as a listener and as a participant?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Excellent, nice. We had Bobby and Andy on, I think the last show before well, 2 shows back now, and they were talking about improvisation, obviously, since they both play in bands like that. Do you think that's what the crowd's coming to see too? Do you think how do you think the crowd? What is everybody getting out of all this improvisation anyway?
I think the crowd can sense, when there's a moment especially, jam and jazz are pretty similar, but a little different. For a crowd that's there to see a jazz show, they know they're gonna listen to solos and they're gonna watch for this development, and that's what they're there to do. But when you go to a jam band show, it's a little more distilled. Not that that's a bad thing, but it's a little more distilled, and it's a little more easier to get that message when there's a big build happening. Especially when a jam band is really cooking. You can sense that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some projects that when I know that, like I was saying, I think I saw something on Facebook today. You were playing with a pretty phenomenal band with Elise Testone and Tim Kayat.
Tim and Thomas Kenny was there too. Mike Quinn.
That was an amazing
JT.
sounding show. JT on drums.
Yeah, it was a lovely show, and it was awesome to play with Thomas. We don't often get the chance to play together, but man, he's killer, and it was awesome to play together.
What was that for? Was that for the wine and food?
That was for a wine and food event. Yep, a barbecue event. Had some amazing food. Grateful for that, and it was Elise is inimitable. She's absolutely. A singular talent.
Yeah, it's amazing that Charleston can provide so many different kinds of performance opportunities at this point too. Like that's a great gig. It's a good time. So what are some projects that you're very proud of? What constitutes like a Dave project that you're just like you can't wait to get to?
So the Glow Trio, which I have been fortunate enough to reunite with those guys and play a few gigs in the last few months. That's Stu White on drums and Jonathan Lovett on organ, and we just play some traditional organ trio, sort of funky jazz, and we also do some of my original stuff. But that band came about in COVID, actually. Alex Harris contacted me around the summer of 2020 and asked if I could put a band together to play out on the deck where Motown Throwdown used to play before COVID. And I said, absolutely. So I grabbed a couple of guys and we did it, and that band developed, and I wrote for that band just to kind of have more stuff to play so we didn't have to end up playing covers all day. And then we recorded at the beginning of 2021, we recorded a 6-song EP. That's my favorite project to play with, just because those guys, Lovett is
he's something else.
He's amazing.
I'd like to get him on the show actually to talk about all of his experiences.
Absolutely, I would love to hear that too. His hands work like two different people, so it's like a quartet when I play with Jonathan.
Right. It's amazing. Let's go ahead and hear that song, Cryptid Walk. You want to tell us a little bit about it, what went into it?
Yeah, that was another one I wrote just for funsies. I was interested in cryptozoological creatures, specifically the Bishopville lizard man of South Carolina. And I wanted to write a song about, they seem kind of creepy and monstrous, but they're actually really nice.
Okay. Well, let's hear the song.
Something that we just can't explain, either out in Old Delhi or down to Peru. Sometimes science is a little bit blind when anecdotal evidence just won't do. I'm talking about Alti, Bessie, and the Capyrosaurus. Yip Buru and the Dingo Neck too. From giant anacondas to the Issy and the Igo Popo, the Huron and the Yeti and the Queensland Yowie too. Hey, you can rely on the Easter Bunny for your chocolate. They can deny it, but I know that it's true. Yeah, Sasquatch got your back if you need to borrow some money. And the skunk ape's always down to throw a party with you. Yeah, the chupacabra's gonna give you a ride to the airport. And you can ask the Huron to help you move, cause he loves to help people move. And the gray man's coming through, even though there's stormy weather. And that's just the start of all my cryptological dudes. I went out shopping just the other day, searching for a remedy to lighten my mood. And suddenly a voice boomed out from behind me. It was the Bishopville Lizard Man. He's a long, tall, scaly dude. He was wearing tattered shorts and he had a shirt that said Howdy Bo Cephas, from a massive world tour 1982. He said he was looking but he couldn't find his way to the party. I said, I know the way, Lizard Man, we can pass on through. You can rely on the Easter Bunny for your chocolate. They can deny it, but I know that it's true. Yeah, Sasquatch got your back if you need to borrow some money. And the skunk ape's always down to throw a party with you. Yeah, Chupacabra's gonna give you a ride to the airport. Next to Huron to help you move, cause he loves to help people move. And the gray man's coming through, even though there's stormy weather. And that's just the start of all my cryptological dudes. Rely on the Easter Bunny for your chocolate. They can deny it, but I know that it's true. Yeah, Sasquatch got your back if you need to borrow some money. And the skunk ape's always down to throw a party with you. Yeah, Chupacabra's gonna give you a ride to the airport. And you can ask the Huron to help you move, cause he loves to help people move. And the gray man's coming through, even though there's stormy weather. And that's just the start of all my cryptological dudes.
All right, and we are back. This is usually the part of the show where I like to have guests from the previous show ask poise questions to the current guests, but that did not work out for various reasons. So Dave gets the Questionator 5000 that is generated by questions from listeners, and some of them are for my wife.
Oh, boy.
You want to take a shot?
Yeah, let's do it.
2 questions right off the top. Here we go. And they're completely random,
All right.
except for the fact that I selected the topics, I guess. Oh, does art have any social responsibility?
That's up to the artist. You know, sometimes an artist just wants to create something that is uplifting. Sometimes you need to have that social commentary. Sometimes the art that I like that has social commentary, it does it in a really clandestine way.
Okay.
It does it in a slick way that's not glaringly obvious, but really gets the point across.
Could you give us an example or come into mind?
Not off the top of my head,
Okay.
no.
All right. So you basically are saying that, like, not beating someone over the head with their ideology, basically.
Yes, but does it have a responsibility? I think that's up to the artist. You know, you're in charge of your life. So, and if you're an artist, that's a big leap
Right.
to if you're making a living like that. So I'd say whatever your calling is, you follow that. If you feel like you need to make the social commentary, or if you just want to put out some good vibes for people to enjoy, that's cool too.
Right. Absolutely. One more spin?
Sure.
Good answer, by the way. Oh, if you could make a record with anyone, who would it be and what would it be?
Anyone. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. I would make a record with Johann Sebastian Bach. And I would just watch him work.
Okay.
And I would just sit in the booth.
Okay, so Bach is at the pinnacle for you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Can you recommend something? 'Cause I'm kind of a classic guy myself.
Yeah, anything. I mean, I love Segovia, playing Bach. I think, classical guitar is something that I aspire to do maybe one day if I ever stop picking my fingernails.
Interesting.
But yeah, I love that. It's so calming. That's, Bach is the best composer of that era of all time.
Okay. Have you been listening to him your whole life, or is that something you got into?
Something I got into, I think, in around high school. I got a Segovia album, just a collection of different stuff that he played, Bach pieces specifically, and then getting into college, I got my first nylon string and kind of figured some things out, got a book of basic pieces and kind of got those together. And then when my wife was pregnant with my daughter, we used to put the headphones on with Segovia, and she wouldn't wiggle around so much. So, but when we played jazz drums, she would wiggle like crazy. So,
oh, maybe she's going to be a drummer.
I think she might be.
Oh, that's interesting. So I always like to ask people, especially people who are as you play all over town. You know a lot of what's going on here. What is something that maybe could make Charleston a little bit better? I mean, it's a great city, like I just said. We have all these opportunities and all these wonderful musicians live here. But what could make it even better?
Just more communication and, coming out to see people's gigs. I wish I didn't live so far away from Charleston. I live in Ladson. Right. So I wish I could come down here and catch more people. And just really the hang after the gig or before the gig is crucial to our scene and just developing relationships with each other, I think. Not being competitive.
Yeah, not being competitive. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I have been so blessed to be a musician in Charleston for the last 18 years, 17 years. So it's been pretty awesome.
Anything that you want your listeners out there that have been checking out these years to know, take away from your performances or anything that maybe you need to get off your chest? I don't know.
I am riddled with anxiety, so don't judge me too harshly.
Actually, Dave, me as well, and that's one of the reasons I started this podcast. Is one of the reasons why I'm glad that you came on the show and other people have been listening to it. It's been helping me as well.
Nice.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, man.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And that was Dave Grimm. Before we get rolling with my David George Sink interview, let's hear a little bumper music submitted by local musician Kelly Sanchez. Thanks so much, Kelly. Hello, and we're back for part 2 and speaking with local guitar player, Mr. David George Sink. Welcome to the show, David. Glad you had some time to sit and talk to us today. So let's dig into some of your first musical experiences. What stands out? What got you hooked? How did you get into this occupation?
Well, what happened was I practiced a lot. I practiced a lot of guitar, and, I learned the Steve Vai things and the Van Halen things, and I was really just like, I always had my ear to the ground with the radio. I would just listen to the radio, and just every time a song come on, I would just try to figure it out. And I was like, man, this is kind of fun.
What age was that?
Man, that was like 15.
Okay.
I would just have it on a classic rock radio station, and just every song that came on, my personal goal, you're supposed to be worried about school and stuff like that. I wasn't worried about school at all. I was just like, man, the next time Dream On comes on, I want to have the solo perfect. So then I would practice it. And then like I'd get home and be like, all right, I'm going to put it on the radio and then try to play to it. And then it would come on and I'd be like, all right, let's try it. And that just, I don't know, that just became an obsession.
So what kinds of like early training did you have? Did you go to guitar teachers? Did you attend college for it, or how did you learn all this this musical knowledge that you obviously have? I mean,
Self-taught.
Self-taught all the way. What are some resources that you could recommend to people that might be listening to the show? I mean, where did you go for your materials?
Well, I definitely was a part of like the tab, phase. I was actually early enough to not really experience YouTube. Like there wouldn't be a video of you how to, a tutorial on how to play the solo to Symphony of Destruction or something. You'd have to download a tab,
Right.
print it out,
Same here.
and learn it. And you don't get rhythms with tabs. And I was like, well, I don't want to read music because that's going to be time consuming. And I could spend the time trying to figure out how to play the song instead of reading the music.
Right.
And that's, been my kind of thing.
So you got a lot of ear training from that.
Yeah, a lot. But as far as like now though, man, YouTube, just type in how do you use the major scale and then find the person that resonates with you. Always find the person that just likes, it seems like they're talking specifically to you. That's what I look for every time I find in anything that's like, all right, that person is telling me something I want to know, but they're kind of talking down at me a little bit. Like they're kind of like, well, I know this and you don't. And I'm like, So I'll find the person that's like, hey, so here's how you use this thing that you're into. I'm kind of looking for that like affirming, really nice, really polite, almost like supportive teacher,
All right. And do you teach lessons yourself?
I teach a couple.
Couple kids?
Yeah, I work at Rusty's Cool Guitars.
Oh, okay.
Shout out Rusty's. That place is awesome. And I'm actually a teacher there.
Okay. And how many students do you have, if you don't mind me asking?
Like two.
Two? That's cool. So you get to know them well, and you work a curriculum out for them, or they kind of come and bring like songs they want to learn, and you help them with that, or what does that look like actually?
For me, I've always done that different. I worked at Guitar Center in Columbia, and they gave me a curriculum, and I would adhere to it, and I'd always find that someone kind of came out the other end the same way, where it's always like, well, here's this thing, let's work on this thing, and then they'd get good at the thing, or they wouldn't because they weren't practicing. And the thing that I always notice is people just wouldn't practice.
When did you realize that you wanted to become a music professional? And at what age were you when you decided that was going to be your path?
So I think I've been doing it 10 years. I think it was like late 20s. I think it might have been mid 20s, like 25. Like I remember my partner, Finn Wallflower, and me were just like, hey, let's just work on tunes for fun. And then Finn was like, let's go to an open mic and play those tunes for people and see if they think they're good. And I was like, I guess we could do that. Like I never considered it. And then I started kind of pursuing just doing that. And then I got really, really, really lucky. And I actually had a plan to go to an open mic. A buddy of mine was there that I went to high school with, who I hadn't seen in, I don't know, 5-6 years or something. And he was actually doing the circuit. And he was like, man, he's like, you're not gigging or anything?
You mean the circuit? You mean the like open mic circuit? Or?
Well, no, he was doing the circuit in Columbia. Like he was playing gigs and very, very little gigs, but he was also running open mics and stuff. And I got introduced to like, BC Villanova and like cats of that nature just in passing, which was really cool. But he was doing just that circuit, and he was doing open mics. He was playing a couple gigs, and he put me on them, and it was like, man, playing in front of people is really cool. It's really nerve-wracking, and it's really scary because I put in all this time on like Steve Vai and all this, and I couldn't play Tom Petty tunes in front of 5 people. It's like, man, this ain't cool. I got to figure out how to feel good about this.
So that was a trial by fire in a way. We're just kind of learning the repertoire of the open mic night, or
yeah. I mean, I just kind of threw myself, in the fire as far as performing in front of people with people that I didn't know, and then I got really addicted to the open mic thing. So I would go to an open mic and say, "Hey, anyone that needs a guitar player, let me know." And then people were like, "Who's this weird guy that we don't know?"
You're still doing some of that, right? At Chico, right?
Yeah, I messaged George Fox and say, hey, I'm free tonight. He's like, well, first of all, awesome. I'm going to shop you to everyone that's playing tonight, and I'm sure you'll play with 95% of people. And second of all, I'll give you your own slot.
That's cool.
It just feels good.
Yeah. That's cool.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. So let me ask you this too. And I think you and I were talking one night at the Commodore. Actually, I think I was playing there with a couple people, and you were there for whatever reason you were there, and you were telling me that music has had a profound impact on your life.
Yes.
And would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Well, my mom was cleaning her house, and Songs in the Key of Life was on, and I was just like, I just want to keep listening to that. How do you do that? It's like, how do you do that? And I remember that moment. I remember my mom was cleaning the house and she was listening to Earth, Wind and Fire. And it just really meant something. I didn't know what it meant though. Like, it was like, it left me ineffable. And then I remember sitting outside, it being a super starry night with my dad, it being super hot outside, and hearing Black Hole Sun and just being like,
Great song, by the way.
how is that possible? And I wanted to know. And it was almost like all I did was just listen and listen and listen, because I was like, I gotta find these songs that just light me up like this. And then, you know, some pretty treacherous things happened with my relationship with my parents, and I just always had music. It just always had my back. It kind of fostered me.
All right. Do you want to elaborate on the treacherous part, or no? Leave that out.
It was just basically, I was just like super doubted before I could comprehend what doubt was. Okay. And as I got older, I started to comprehend what that actually meant. And it just got more and more and more heavy, and just kind of just like crushed me, which is actually why I use the word crush, because it's like, it was a negative impact and I switched it around. I'm unbelievably optimistic.
You seem like your posts are. I think I learned about you from your posts on Facebook, actually, and I thought, man, what a positive message this guy is always bringing to the internet, actually. And you were always posting on people's stuff and like building up other shows and sharing and stuff. That's great. So crush comes from a negative place that you kind of like re-authored it, or you own it yourself now, correct?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was crushed. Okay. So now I tell people to crush.
All right. Excellent. All right. I think it's time to listen to a little bit of one of your songs. Would you like to introduce the song and maybe tell us a little bit about it, who's on it, where it happened, all that?
Yeah. So during COVID, I happened to have a little bit of like just extra cash, and I bought me a MacBook, and I went down the road with the garage band and like all that stuff. And I started reaching out to people. I was like, I'm going to be the guy that's on people's music. I actually was probably on more music during COVID than I've ever been, because people were free. Yeah. So they were writing music. But that song actually came whenever I lived in Myrtle Beach. I met the guy that wrote that song, and he sent me a message, and he's like, hey, you're like a hotshot guitar player. You can lay down like a pretty tasty lead over this. And I was like, sure. And I listened to it, and I was like, well, I like the message. It's a great tune. That guy's a great guy. His name's Matthew Daniel. Fantastic human being. And you just lay down something saucy on it, and I'll just kind of just like let you take the reins on that. And I really got a lot of creative control over the solo.
Okay. Well, let's give it a listen.
Sure.
Circles, why won't this come to an end? Now here I am, so indecisive. Seems like I'm stuck inside my head. I look at you, I mean I'm not complaining, can't seem to look the other way. But I find myself somehow just so speechless, can't seem to find the words to say. It's like I love you one minute, then I hate you the next. I just can't seem to fight the way I'm feeling. You just don't seem to get it, it's not easy to choose. Guess it's time that I finally face the truth. I don't know what to do with you.
And we're back. Let's talk about professionalism a little bit. You seem to have a lot of motivation. How do you maintain that?
That I don't even have an answer for. I wake up every day and I consider every day a continued day of practice. So I've practiced every day for 19 years, but it's been one big day. It's kind of how I see it.
And how long do you practice a day?
Sometimes 2 or 3, sometimes 10 hours.
Wow.
And it's usually on multiple instruments. It's whatever I feel I need to create on is what I create on.
Okay, so you say create. So your practice routine is based on creation? What are you working on? What are you doing?
I'll just hear a song. I heard Love Buzz by Nirvana, and I picked up my banjo, and I somehow, this is the part that I can't comprehend about myself, I somehow immediately tuned it to the open chord of that song and then was playing it and wasn't even thinking. It's like, all right, cool. And then I did the song, and I was like, that was crazy. And then I recorded a video. So that just got super inspired.
Is there some way that you would recommend to people about how to keep that motivation or increase it? Is it a skill that you could work on, or like an exercise that you can increase your motivation? Or, I mean, how are you maintaining this every day? Is it just who you are, and you don't really? There's no
like secret to it.
Yeah, there's no secret. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for.
There is kind of a secret to it. I noticed that most people that say they're getting burned out, they're doing the same thing. And I think insanity is doing something and getting the same result. Yeah. I don't ever get the same result. I don't sit down and practice arpeggios for 30 minutes and then after that press a little thing and then for 15 minutes practice, try it. I don't do that. I don't agree with it and I never will. I don't practice with a metronome. I allow things to happen the way they were supposed to happen.
Okay.
If I am sloppy, then I need to work on sloppiness.
Don't practice with a metronome.
Never have.
Interesting. Okay. So when you say they let things happen as they're supposed to happen, could you clarify what that?
Yeah. So if I go to play something and it doesn't feel right, I practice until it does.
Okay.
And if that takes 5 hours straight, then that's what that takes.
So you're trying to get into the head of the song that you're learning. You're
Yes.
trying to get into the mindset of it. And are you trying to play it like accurately, or are you trying to play it your way, or are you interpreting the song, or?
Not only am I learning the music, I'm also analyzing it, breaking it down, and then basically taking its secrets from it. So if it has any cool little things happening, now they're mine.
Okay.
And I can use them whatever I want.
All right. I had a conversation with someone a while back. He was talking about language. Is that like you're learning like sentences that you can use in your own language? Is that how you would think of it, or are you just are you memorizing patterns that you're bringing to other songs? Or
I'm kind of just like taking cool ideas and then practicing that cool idea by itself. So it's something that I comprehend, like a jazz turnaround. I'm not Mr. Jazz Guy. I know a lot of jazz songs, but I'm not Mr. Jazz Guy.
Okay.
Because I know the cool parts of jazz songs, the things that I think are cool.
Yeah, right.
But and also too, with your question for the motivation, the secret to being motivated is learn the stuff you're supposed to learn, and then so that's like essentially like your dinner is learn what you're supposed to learn. The dessert is what you get to do after.
Okay.
And I really enjoy the dessert a lot.
All right. How do you prepare for each gig? Because you have all these different requirements, all these different set lists that you're learning and working with in and out. I know that Charleston has kind of like the book, that we all kind of know. But I mean, how are you preparing for these types of requests?
As soon as I get a set list, I make a Spotify playlist immediately. If it's YouTube, I immediately make a YouTube playlist. If I'm lucky, I can have like a week with it, and it becomes my like backdrop. If I'm taking a shower, I'm listening to it. If I'm driving, I take the long way home. Like
Right.
if I have to go somewhere and
You're
be
living with it.
yeah, like I'll get stuck in traffic on purpose to listen to a set list. Like I'll get stuck on the Don Holt Bridge, and I'm like, this will get me through the whole set list. Yeah.
So you're running the show over and over again before you.
Yep.
Okay. Now, what happens when you show up to a gig that you don't have that time to prepare for? What is some important things that someone can bring to the table, to the show, I should say, that'll help them get through the gig too? What are some advice you might be able to give someone who's just kind of, I don't know where to go, I don't know where to begin. What do I do? Because that happens too.
Find your ally. Find the person that you think might have your back more than other people, and then lean on them, and then figure out their kind of mindset. So like usually when I'm playing like let's say like a Commodore hit or something, and then I know the keyboard player, I'm like, I have the best ally. This guy is going to tell me what to do without telling me what to do. And then like I hear on like a dominant chord, he's gonna be like, oh, he always does a 9 sharp 11. Well, I'm gonna do Lydian dominant over that. And now that guy's like, oh, so now we're paying attention to each other, we're communicating more.
Right. So you're waiting for that connection on stage then.
Oh, the connection on stage is bigger than anything. The connection on stage is bigger than knowing the music.
I agree with that, actually, because it's all about entertaining the crowd at the end of the day. And if you can get through the show with a smile on your face, that's half of it sometimes. Yeah. What is a good cooking band? How do you know when the band's cooking?
The band is cooking whenever someone takes a solo and everyone stops and drops to nothing. They're all listening to each other, and then they cook together as the solo section builds, and then it peaks, and they stay at their peak, and they allow the soloist to go higher. That is a cooking band, and it doesn't happen often, and it's sad.
What are some of the projects that what are some of the projects that you're working with right now where you feel like that happens a lot for you? I mean, I know that you've got several projects you're working with. Give me some highlights.
I play with Elise Murray a lot, and she allows the band to cook. Truly, she doesn't even step foot in the kitchen. If everyone is doing a thing and we're building and we're building and we're building, she allows it to build. She's great at that. Kelly Sanchez is extremely good at it.
Yeah.
She detaches from the song almost and allows the band to become the song in their own way. And then she dances over, and when she's dancing and her hands are about to touch, back. I played Valerie with DeMario, and I remember this. We put it in it's like 5-4 or like 11-8. And then we kept pushing and pushing and pushing and adding subdivisions, and just it got like so heavy and crazy. And it was Henry's, so they weren't like ready for that at all, and we didn't care at all. We didn't care at all. And we pushed it so far. And then as soon as Kelly walked over and put her hand on the keys, me and DeMario went, da, da, da. We went right back to 4-4 and had no conversation about it.
Kelly's great. Her understanding of music is pretty amazing, actually.
Oh yeah, she's fantastic.
Yeah, she's super talented. Speaking of talented, you're pretty talented yourself. What are some guitar knowledge that you feel guitarists should have? Like, if you had to say, you need this is what you should go do. What is something?
Find your person. Find the person that moves you more than anyone else musically, and learn every single thing they've ever done.
Now you're talking about like local people, or are you talking about?
I mean, it could be local people, just anyone.
Okay.
If Thomas Kenny was the guy, then I'd be at every one of his gigs.
Right.
I mean, I can't be because I'm also at my gig.
Yeah.
So that's the part that I don't like about that. But like my guy was Guthrie Govan, probably always will be. I've looked into everything he's ever done. I've listened to most of the stuff off of Dune. I've met him. I've asked him questions in person. It was Steve Vai for a second. Same thing. I listened to everything he ever did with Zappa. I'm not really big on the historian part of it. Like, I don't know what year Steve Vai started playing with Zappa.
Right.
And that's just not my thing. But
Zappa's not your thing?
No.
I see what you're saying.
The historian part of it. I respect it. I respect it so much, but it's just not my thing.
Right.
So when you hear that solo that moves you, let's say you just started playing guitar, let's say you're an electric guitar player. You hear that solo that moves you and you're like, I'll never play that. Go for it. Because I'm here to tell you, it's not going to come for you.
Yeah.
Solos are not going to learn themselves for you. I'd invest a lot of time knowing what I know.
Right.
And practicing what I can physically accomplish, and I'm still so far behind. And I don't think I'll ever reach what I think I'm supposed to be. That's why I love it so much, though. But
right.
anyways, find your person.
Yeah.
Find whatever instrument you're playing cello, find that cellist that does it for you. Honestly, if you're a cellist and you like Jimmy Page, learn how to do Jimmy Page on the cello. I mean, be innovative.
Yeah, be innovative.
And not for the sake of innovation. You know, Stanley Jordan plays guitar like a piano player. His teacher told him that he couldn't do that. Well, he did it. So you know what? If you want to do something on something that you're not supposed to do it on, do it anyways.
Okay, that's good advice. All right, we're back. It's time for the Mighty Questionator 5000. David, are you ready?
Let's do it. Questionator, I hardly know her.
Oh, here we go. What's the craziest thing you've ever seen on a gig?
So many things. I guess it's kind of explicit. I'm definitely gonna try to spare some of it, but I was playing at a place where they smoked inside, so you already know what's up. You already know what's up.
Yeah.
And this older woman took her shirt off and gave this older guy a striptease, and then they started making out. And I was like, and we're playing Simple Man, so I was just like, it was the beginning of it. So I was stuck there for 4.5 minutes, just watching that go down. Eventually, I just turned and just faced the TV and just watched Family Guy. It's like, hey, I was like, hey, Evans, are they done yet? And he's like, nah, man, nah.
Just getting started.
Just getting started. It's like, cool, I'm just not looking. That's the craziest thing that's happened to me.
Yeah, well, that's not too bad then, actually.
No, that's not too bad. It was titillating for sure.
So moving on, you want to try another question? Let's do it. Let's do question number 2. One popular band you just don't like, and why?
That's so hard. I like all bands.
Oh, there's got to be at least one. I mean, I know that you do a lot of Emerald Empire Band and stuff like that too. So there's got to be at least one pop song from one pop artist that you want to stab yourself in the. I mean, or maybe that's just me. I know there's other players that they always have these great answers to questions like that where they can always learn something from everything. And that's true. You can always learn something from everything, certainly. But there is at least one or two songs that make me want to kill myself. And maybe you've got one. What would it be?
So I'm going to answer the question and actually change it a little bit because it's to me, I don't like playing Valerie only because Valerie is just such a sad way to see Amy Winehouse. So I'm going to answer the question. It makes me so sad to play, Valerie and then not play her other stuff.
Is it because you think that song's not as emblematic of her material, or
it's just not her. It's just a song and she just sang it, but Wake Up Alone,
that's a good song.
Oh God, Love Is a Losing Game.
Yeah, that's a great
just
song.
Haunting. She had this haunting
I wish
quality.
I heard that cover more. Some of those, you're right, those songs need to be covered more.
So sad. And also too, just selfless plug. I play with Elise and she does a mean Adele Amy crossover show. It's mean. We do Wake Up Alone. I got to improvise to it. It's very hard to solo over.
Speaking of some local guys, who are some local players that inspire you? Who are some people that you're just really into these days?
I like Jeff Caldwell because why wouldn't you? Sean Bing's awesome. I feel like me and him share the drive. Every time I see him, he's just and I have that same thing. I guess I'm just not really going because I don't want to do that. But but we have that same drive though,
Yeah.
Thomas Kenny's great. Lee Barber's fantastic.
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah, Lee Barber's a treasure.
I was talking to Nick Brewer. Nick Brewer was like, man, he's like, I don't get scared. He's like, I'm old, been doing this a minute. I don't get scared. I play with Lee Barber, I'm scared. Yeah. I was like, you're scared? Why? He's like, bro, you just got to see one of his gigs. He's like, where he takes tunes, how he takes them there, how arranged they are. It's not a guess. Everything is something that's already been put in motion. It's pretty intimidating stuff. And I mean, you're awesome.
Thanks.
You're an awesome guy. I like Alan Schmidt a lot. Chris Dodson is the reason I live in Charleston.
Oh,
and
that's
I don't
cool.
think people know that. I was playing in Columbia and he called me. And this is whenever I was a little wet behind the ears and was like, I'm playing too kind of vibe. But he called me. He's like, man, I got 7 shows this week. And I was like, I got 7 shows this month.
Right.
And he's like, relocate.
Yeah. Charleston provides for musicians. It does.
So he became a mentor to me and
cool.
still is.
That's great.
There's a good bit of them.
You guys play together a lot, right? Or you play with, I think I've seen you play with him with somebody.
Every once in a while, I'll play with him and Elise
Okay.
for like the bigger stuff.
All right.
We do like a Fleetwood Mac tribute and then like an 80s tribute. And
Oh, yes. That's right.
for the tributes, she hires him because he's the big gun. He's going to learn the material.
Right.
No question. Anybody to call things, oh, that's a minor 251. That's a tritone sub. And we'll have those conversations.
Oh, cool. So what are some future goals? What's your next steps? What are you looking to pull off next? What's your big trick?
Man, I'm asked that, and it's almost like I never think about it because all I think about is music. So my goal is never to really do anything different than play music. But I guess currently I'm working on this like solo instrumental thing, and I'm trying to detach myself from getting home at 2:00 in the morning at Henry's. I mean, I love that. It's fun.
Right.
It's a fun gig, but my bag doesn't like it. You know, I don't get to see Finn.
Right.
Finn's dead asleep. I don't get to see my dog. I walk in and my dog says hello, and then that's that.
Yeah.
I don't like that. So right now I'm working on this like solo instrumental thing. I'm working on a promo video and just all the blah, 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 blah stuff, social media, whatever. But I'm trying to detach myself from playing cover gigs and getting home at 2:00 in the morning. And I'd rather play like a fancy hotel and do Steely Dan and Girl from Ipanema and Stevie Wonder. I like and have complete control. So I guess my new goal is to have complete control of my musical reality by creating an entity that I can kind of like live within that does a completely different thing than all the other things I'm doing. Because I mean, I get hired. I'm like a hired gun guy,
Yeah.
which is all cool and all, but like it's a lot of the same stuff. And I get lucky every once in a while. I've played with Emily Curtis at the what is that place called? I can't even think of the name of it. Windjammer, and like just we did like Pack or something. I did Pack with Kelly Sanchez during COVID. Cool things happen every once in a while, but if I'm behind the driver's seat, I'll make things happen.
Right, yeah.
I won't hope. It won't be serendipity.
I would love to see you do that because you definitely have the drive and you have a lot of online skills that like I don't have. I have a hard time even promoting this fucking show. Actually.
It gets old doing that though.
Well, yeah, but it's also like some people on the show have mentioned. It's also kind of part of the bag now. We're all kind of swimming in our own sea of ourselves at this point, and we have to struggle to get out of it sometimes. I think. What are some tips that you might have for like an old guy like me trying to navigate the wonders of the internet? I mean, so I know that you've branded yourself pretty well online. You've got what, thousands of friends and stuff. I mean, what do you do? How do you do that?
Consistency.
You
could post the same picture every day, and I mean, one day it could go viral.
What have you had the most success with, like as far as platforms go?
Instagram. I've got like almost 17,000 or something.
17,000?
Whatever that means.
It's crazy.
It don't mean nothing.
Yeah. Well, you've beat the podcast that you're talking on by about a factor of 1,000. So that's great, man. That's awesome. Let's hear another song, shall we?
Yeah.
Tell us about this next song.
Yeah. So this next song is Leaky Sink, right?
Yeah.
That's with Josh Jarman. That was another COVID project. And he was like, man, I got this song, and I just think you could do like a slide kind of like dirty blues kind of thing on it. And I was like, absolutely.
Okay. Well, let's give it a shot.
Let's do it.
And we're back.
Hello.
So, some final thoughts. What are some things that you think we could maybe make Charleston an even better scene than it is?
Just being more supportive. Just sincerely like, hey man, good job. You know, like the way I see it is there's not enough pat on the back. And then you're kind of like looked at as peculiar if you do, because everyone else is just like, well, I don't want to like support people because then people know that I'm supportive, and that singles me out. The way I feel about support is the same way I feel about like whenever someone comes up and tips a band, it's like, you like that song? How dare you? That's what they're thinking that other people are going to think about them. That's why, like, I mean, I've had people say, could you stop saying the thing that you say? Can you stop saying crush? It's really annoying. And I'm just like, no, sorry you don't like it. I don't really know what to tell you. That's my brand.
You got a 17,000 person brand, so, you know, whatever.
I mean, I have people say it to me.
So let me ask you this. Was that part of a strategy?
No, I just always thought having a little catchphrase was cool because I watched a lot of superhero things.
All right.
And them guys always had little catchphrases.
Oh, excellent. I used to watch a lot of wrestling when I was a kid, so you couldn't go into wrestling without a good catchphrase. In case about the Rock is cooking.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Nice. So when people are listening to you play, I've been kind of curious about this lately. What's going on in your head? Are you thinking theory? Are you thinking about the song? Are you thinking about what you're going to have for dinner tomorrow? What's going on?
Well, I'm usually picking the song apart, and I'm actually at a point now where it's real hard to stop. I was talking to Jeff Caldwell about it, and he's like, man, you need just a little bit of right brain. I was like, I can't stop the left. It won't stop. So I'll be playing, and I'm like, man, it'd be really cool if I did melodic minor here, because this is a Dorian. And then all I have to do to capitalize on that is just add the major 7. And then off of that, I could do diminished. It's like, it's not going to stop, and I'm not fighting it. I like it. But also, like, I can ignore it and then just, like, shoot from the hip. But no matter what, I always want to sound musical. My goal is always to sound musical. If I'm going to do something, some trick, I want to sound musical. And I actually thought about this a lot. There's an apprehensiveness right before you get, like, a musician goes to do something outside. They stop, and then they do the thing. Unless they're really good, and outside was already filling inside. So I want equality in my musicianship. I want everything to be equal. Minor pentatonic, diminished scale. Same weight, same pull, same filling. That's what I want.
Well, David, thank you for taking some time and sitting down and talking with us today.
Yeah, man.
Anything you want to say before we head out?
Y'all go practice.
Go practice. Well said. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.